Hey traders, this is Christian Farmer. It's Tribeca Trade Group, and today is Tuesday, January 22nd. I was going to say Monday, but it is Tuesday. We had off yesterday, and yeah, I was on vacation for a couple days. Got away to get some skiing in, and it really timed it right. Wasn't as cold. It was as expected up in on Whiteface Mountain up in Lake Placid, and the snow was great. So got hit with a snowstorm. So really nice to get away for a couple days, and really a perfect time to do it. Which you never know planning this stuff, but we had a really nice move towards the end of last week or for the last couple weeks, and I don't think anybody should really be surprised that we had a down day after having this many up days in my opinion. And that's as a trader, and if you're trading short term, it was a great day on Friday. It was a wonderful gift on Friday to take some risk off, and then to kind of sit in some cash and kind of see what happens. Because as what do we know, right? Is that we're going to have a little bit of headline drama with the trade war, which we certainly got today. The meeting is off, the meeting is back on. How do you trade this stuff, the headline or headline risk? Because we also have a government shutdown, and I think they're going to be doing a vote on Thursday. And I mean, my guess is that sooner than later that this thing gets nipped in the bud, and that it gets resolved, at least to reopen the government. I don't think anybody really wants to kind of keep this battle going on for a long time, but you just don't know, right? There's no certainty that into this. So how do you trade this, right? So how do you trade these headlines? You basically just you try to be as nimble as possible, and not get over the tips of your skis. I'll use the skiing analogy, which I love to use. I think in this market right now, you can't get over the tips of your skis, and especially after a big run. I mean, I did see. We were talking about this in the trading room today. There's a lot of perma bears that were giving a victory lap today, which I don't really get. I mean, especially I see some out there who have been wrong for a good couple weeks, and you get a little bit of red, and people are jumping down like they won something. I don't know what you won, but and again, I'm not trying to jump on the perma bears. I just think you have to be nimble in this market both ways. I don't think you could be a perma bull right now either. There's too many unknowns. We're right in the middle of earnings season. We're gonna have some reports that may shock a little bit, and you're going to have some reports, hopefully that beat, and some that are going to that are going to miss. I mean, IBM after hours, I thought this looked like a really good setup for a short. I played a little bit of this to the short side today, which was wrong, which is fine because maybe, I mean, look at this thing go, right? 129. I don't think a lot of people were expecting this to go higher. So that's 129 right now, and that's going to break through this resistance, which is where I thought we would get capped, right at the top of value. But we're through it, and that's kind of how earnings is, right? It's pretty unpredictable. So 129. Of course, I want to go long quality names and short weaker names, which is what I did with IBM today. So that trade didn't work, and a couple of trades that I did today really didn't work. I'm kind of looking for a run into earnings for Amazon. Oh, so let me go before I go to the trades. Let me analyze the technicals and the indices before I get ahead of myself. So yes, we've had a really nice run in here. Yes, there's some overhead resistance and S&P. So really, we did close lower than the open on Friday, and we would want to get back above that. If you look at this in terms of the 1 hour value, we did fall into the value area for the week. So, there's some levels to watch. I would say for SPY, I would say 264.72. That's going to be your resistance. And if we look at if I could get Thinkorswim to cooperate, 258.22. It's a really big value area. So, it's kind of, this to me is not giving me any signal, and that's fine. We don't always have to have a signal. We could be a little bit patient and kind of wait for that. In the Qs, so if we just kind of think about little bit of a scenario analysis, what could happen here, considering that I don't really have a good signal? I think that we got all the way through to the top of value, which again, a great place to take profits in SPY, and we're kind of caught in the middle, right? We could not get through the top of value, which I really wasn't expecting us to, and we're caught right above the 50-day moving average. So we'll just kind of have to see how this plays out. I think a really good scenario for the bulls would be that we just kind of chop around for a couple days. We burned off that short-term overbought today and then some. But if we hang around here for a couple days, perhaps we could do something like this. If we start to retrace, we'll see how much. Basically, we'll see this week how much we retrace. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. And I'm not thinking that we go all the way back down, but I'll let the price action do that. I think we could fall a little bit further down to the 20 period. I think that's in the cards as well. So again, how to kind of position for this, what you could kind of hear in my voice that I think there's a couple different things that could play out, is just to kind of be nimble and not be overexposed right now, and especially after a long run. But there's not much really telling me in the charts to kind of go short here either. I think for now, just to kind of wait it out and see what this market wants to do, and then look at some high quality names. Some names that even I got out of last week, which I'm going to go through a couple of those. Those I've got on my radar, and might be ready to get back involved if we get a little bit more weakness. Qs I thought gave a pretty good signal. Again, the Qs right to the top of value resistance. Again, great place to take targets last week and to be patient. The 1 hour, I think we got a hammer bar on the 1 hour. I sent this out on Twitter earlier. Somebody laughed at me. Not laughed at me, but somebody said, because it was going through this on the next, once I sent out that 161.06 was support. So for now, we've held it. And we'll see if we hold that tomorrow. But clearly a big move down, and the Q's down 2% today. Again, off the lows. IWM held in there a little bit better, but also could not hold the top of value. For a while, up until midday, we were holding the top of value pretty nicely. And I was looking at going long IWM maybe at the end of the day, but we did fall into value. So 145.20 will be the level to watch for tomorrow, 145.20. If we get back above that, I think that would be very good for small caps and again for risk on. But today was pretty much a risk off day. If we look at a couple other things here, you could look at IWM fell 1.6%. The SPY fell fell 1.35. So not a big difference there. So a couple things. Amazon all the way through the value area today. So I try to trade in the beginning of the day because I've been waiting for a little bit of weakness in Amazon. I've got a weekly call spread on, so probably that trade is not going to. Well, we'll see if it comes back, but I don't like how far Amazon went down today. It tells me that there's some weakness there, and maybe some selling once we got to a particular level. Right at the 200-day moving average. But again, just like I was showing with the indices, we're kind of caught in between here. Not really a major sell signal. If it gets below, you could trade versus the top of value. I would say if this thing breaks the 50-day moving average, maybe use that as your stop to short against. But I don't know. I'm really not a fan of going short Amazon going into earnings. I don't think that is a high probability or a great setup trade. So we'll just kind of have to watch that. And that's next week that Amazon reports. Same thing for Google. I did not trade Google. We went up and we took this VPOC out. So again, kind of trapped in the middle. Netflix, I thought it was interesting. We saw some calls that stretched out to April. April 3:30 calls. Someone at bid side here, 1540. So this was at 2680. I don't know if they added to these. A lot of call selling, by the way, today. A lot of people, selling some February positions on a little bit of weakness. And maybe we'll wait until those buyers come back in. But you could see these hit a couple times. This was 30. This was the first one at 12.20, 31.30, and then as the whole market sold off, perhaps they were buying a little bit more. April 320s and 330. Oh, this was a spread that went up. 320s and 330s that went up together. So that looks like somebody bought the 320s and sold the 330s. So interesting, a couple different trades in Netflix today. Also a little bit of weekly puts that went up. So short-term puts went up, probably somebody looking to kind of play just momentum to the downside for today. But yeah, interesting trades going up here in Netflix. What I did was just a very small trade. I bought a one lot of those April 330s, and I sold a front week call against it, not this week but next week, and out of the money to collect a little bit of premium. So I did a little bit of trading here. My one trade that I liked today, going into today, did not fully trigger. A lot of times you do have to kind of wait till the end of the day. Intraday doesn't really matter, but we'll see. COF reported, Capital One reported, and I think they missed. But I think this Visa is pretty tightly wound. And if it doesn't do anything, it might end up being an earnings trade. But I think this thing's pretty tightly wound. Unfortunately, I tried to play the breakout in this, and it stalled right when the market, the overall market was weak. But it did come back. For now, I decided to dump it on the close. So it's a small loser, but something that I'll have my eye on for tomorrow for Visa. But I do like, if we go back to the daily chart in Visa, it's just hanging there. It's right below value, and I think if we can get a close above value, I think it's got a shot to do some damage to the upside here. But that alert, or that level, in case you don't have that written down, is right around 139 and a quarter. 139 and a quarter. So just another dollar in front of us. So that is that. A couple of the other names that we were looking at today: PayPal. A little bit weak today. Square was very weak. There was a story out about Apple Pay getting into some more vendors. So a little bit negative. Let's see if Square wants to kind of hang in there. After a nice run last week, nice move out of this consolidation. 200-day moving average right there. Option activity, what did we see today? Again, more stuff on the put side, which is good. It's good to actually see some put buyers come in here. I mentioned Netflix. Some really small stuff, some really cheapy stuff. UPS, I tried UPS for a day trade, and I sold it for a scratch. So I was doing some things today. I just thought that it's got resistance above, top of value. So that's why, I put it on for just a quick day trade. Took it off, hit one target in it, and that was it. But did end up getting very close to closing on the high of the day in UPS. I thought that was interesting. We saw a tiny bit of the pot stock flow, but really small stuff. Nothing, in my opinion, to chase. All right, so that's it. We've got some more report. We've got Abbott reporting tomorrow. Oh, I mentioned a couple names that I'm looking at, in the enterprise application software. A lot of this, and I think trading a lot of times is just kind of sitting on your hands a bit and waiting for things to trigger. This is one name that I'm watching, QLYS. No position, nice volume today. And for me, because I want to have something to trade against, I'll go long versus the 200-day moving average if it gets there. Right now, no trigger, no alert, but on the watch list. Zen is another one that I've traded. I got out of it last week, looking to get back into it. A couple other ones. Coop, inside day today. I got out of this I think on Friday. Real nice move. Hubs is another one that I got out of last week. Don't have to get back into these. Maybe if they come back in. I'm watching Salesforce as well. If Salesforce kind of comes back in, so I have no position on in Salesforce. If Salesforce comes in, maybe to 146.5, and finds the support, maybe even a little bit further down, I would be a buyer. I would be a buyer down there. Workday, interesting, has been very strong. Now finished down just 0.75%. Very, very strong looking chart in Workday. Another name that we saw a lot of strength was Twilio last week. It looked like there was a little bit of a call seller in there today. Down 5.5%, which is sometimes what happens in momentum names. So no position there, but I would keep an eye on this tomorrow because this is thinking if it's got a little bit of positive momentum to it, could get jumpy. And you can see did not break the bottom of value. So again, these are the names that I'm looking at when we have the weakness, right? Which, again, markets don't go down in a straight line; they don't go up in a straight line. So I think this is perfectly normal to see some digestion after they run up the last 2 weeks. And again, we'll watch our support levels and see if they hold. All right, guys, see you tomorrow. Have a great night.